Hello everybody, I'm Ariana DeAngelis and today we're talking about elopement in the autistic community. Elopement means that a person has left a safe and supervised area. You might have heard elopement referred to as wandering or bolting. This topic is particularly close to my heart as I've had both students and family members who engaged in unsafe wandering behavior. Please be advised that as part of this discussion, we will be talking about lethal incidences of elopement. In other words, a situation in which someone has left a safe area and has, devastatingly, passed away. These discussions may be upsetting to some viewers, and discretion is advised. When we talk about elopement in our Autism Project trainings and presentations, we typically break down the reason for elopement into two categories. Either A, I want something, or B, I don't want something. In other words, the autistic person is looking to get something or to escape something. But these two categories can be broken down even further. Perhaps the person is trying to get to a location that they enjoy, like a local pool, or in the case of a young man I know well, to a place that sells his favorite snack, flaming hot Cheetos. Or maybe they're out looking for something related to their special interest. Someone whose special interest is trains, for example, may wander to find train tracks or a train station. Or perhaps the person is looking to get away from an anxiety-provoking, stressful situation or task demand. Or maybe they simply enjoy exploring their world, but are unaware of the safety risks posed from wandering unsupervised. Things like traffic, bodies of water, unsafe people, or exposure to the elements. And in thinking about the why of elopement, we also need to answer the question of why talking about it is so important. Why have we at the Autism Project chosen to have an entire video on the topic? Thanks to a generous grant from the U.S. Department of Justice, we're able to provide resources to families and professionals who work actively each day to prevent a dangerous elopement event from occurring. Elopement causes significant stress to caregivers, and all of us need to do what we can to help. The Interactive Autism Network found in 2011 that 58% of parents reported that eloping was one of the most stressful behaviors that they were addressing with their children. 62% of families were prevented from attending outdoor activities for fear that their child would elope. And 40% indicated that wandering or elopement resulted in sleep disruption, meaning that the parents were either up at night worried about the elopement or actually trying to prevent it from happening in the middle of the night. I've personally worked with a little boy who eloped from his home. So when I would work with him for multiple days at a time, staying overnight, I wouldn't sleep for fear that he would try to leave the house during the night. What would happen to him if he got outside at night and I didn't hear, if I didn't know? The threat to safety for a child or adult who elopes is significant. The National Autism Association published several reports on the dangers of elopement, and I'll leave links to those resources in the description. According to the NAA report, and again, these statistics may be upsetting, so please take caution, between 2011 and 2016, 808 cases of wandering and elopement in autistic people was reported in the U.S. 17% of those cases resulted in death, while an additional 13% required medical attention, and 38% had the potential to cause injury or death but were avoided. In other words, the child or adult was in a dangerous situation, but luckily managed to avoid the direct impacts of that danger. Of those lethal incidences, accidental drowning accounted for 71%, followed by traffic injury, which accounted for 18%. This is why we're taking the time to create a video just on elopement. We need to do more to support caregivers, to prepare responders, and to keep autistic people safe. So, where do we start? How can we help? We have to start by documenting everything. When an autistic person makes any attempt at wandering, keep a record of it. Make note of the time of day, who was in the environment, what was happening at the time of the elopement, how the person exited from this safe area, and where they went. We want to look for patterns so that we can address them. If we notice that a child is always eloping during crowded events, for example, we can provide sensory supports, like headphones, to make those events less overwhelming. Or we can provide alternative activities if these events cause the person distress. Next, we need to think about the physical environment. If it is safe to do so, have adequate locks been installed on the doors? If there are deadbolts, are there key locks on both sides rather than having that turn lock on the inside? Again, if it's safe, we want key entry on both sides so the child cannot open the door without a key. Or are there hook and eye locks that are up and out of the child's reach? If you're in a classroom or an area where it's unsafe to lock, is there an adult monitoring any exits, doors, and windows? If we are talking about a classroom, is the child's desk placed as far away from the classroom door as possible? And are there adults between the student and any doors or windows? Are those doors and windows that can be opened, either at home or in school, alarmed to notify those in the area of an elopement attempt? On the playground or in an outdoor area, is that area fenced in with a fence the person cannot climb over? And of course, are folks supervised at all times? I used to work in a school where the back fence was about up to here, but we always had an adult standing along that back fence to monitor. Also, make sure that there are printed stop signs on each exit, including doors, windows, and gates. A stop sign could be enough to deter a child or adult from exiting a safe area because that stop sign indicates that the doors and windows are off limits. Another proactive strategy is to, if appropriate to the person's level of language, make sure to teach them about the dangers of wandering and be specific. Discuss the dangers of traffic, water, strangers. Teach children about what to do if they find themselves alone and unsupervised in different settings. Consider using a variety of tools to teach this information, including social narratives, props, videos. Use stories about safety that include their favorite characters. SpongeBob, Pokemon, Minecraft characters, or Disney characters. Whatever that person is interested in. Use that character to teach about the dangers of elopement. For example, here we recently used the character of Antonio from Encanto to teach about elopement. As he's a child, he's not allowed to leave the house alone. He needs to ask an adult to go with him. So we wrote a little story and used a screenshot of Antonio reaching out his hand to an older character to reinforce the concept that the child needed to ask an adult to accompany him before leaving. Using these tools can help to visually represent these safety concepts for the people that we support. An additional proactive strategy is to enroll the child or adult in swim lessons. If you have a pool, please make sure that it is fenced in and that the fence cannot be climbed and the gate cannot be unlocked. When the pool is not being used, remove any toys or high-valued items from the pool and pool deck, because we want to make sure that the person doesn't climb into the pool area to get those items. Make sure your neighbors with pools are also aware that your child may be attracted to them. This attraction is not limited to warm months and can continue even if the pool is covered. If you're located in a school with an indoor pool, ensure that access to the pool is prohibited when not in use. Remember, just because the person can swim does not mean that they are safe in water. So parents, teachers, and caretakers must always be vigilant. Please check the links in our description to see a list of swimming instructors suggested by the National Autism Association. Also, if the person is in danger of or has a history of elopement, consider personal tracking devices. Again, there's a link in our description with more information. I have worked with a student who wore tracking devices on his wrist and on his ankle at various times, and another who wore one in her coat pocket. Coat pockets are helpful if the person's always going to put a coat on when they leave the house. However, if they would go out without a coat or a jacket or a backpack, a tracking device that remains on the person may be more practical. It's important, whether you're at school or at home, that the community around the child or adult is aware of their propensity to elope. Alert trusted neighbors, and trusted is key, and let them know that if they see the child or adult without supervision, they should call you immediately. Let them know about things that might possibly draw your child to wander, like an interest in cars or animals. Let them know about the propensity to go towards water and inform them of the local bodies of water in your area. Those bodies of water can include natural bodies like rivers and lakes, water tanks, pools, jacuzzis, etc. Also, in addition, let them know in addition to what interests your child, also what triggers your child. What are their communication styles? Can they say their name and address? What are their sensory challenges? All of these can be helpful in the event that the neighbor is interacting with the child during an elopement. They'll need to know how to approach the child without triggering them to run away or bolt again. Next, we need to bring in our first responders. In the event that your child does elope, first responders should be helping in the search. Before the elopement event happens, it's important that first responders are equipped with the tools needed to respond as efficiently and quickly as possible. So let's talk about some of the information that we can provide to first responders. Begin by providing the obvious, the name of the person who is prone to eloping, as well as a current photo, a physical description, and any identifying marks, scars, or any particular behaviors. Also, what are the person's favorite things? What songs do they like to listen to? What are their favorite toys or characters? There have been children who have been found after an elopement when first responders played their favorite song, thus attracting the child to the source of the music. In addition, provide the names, numbers, and addresses of any emergency contacts. Let first responders know about any sensory, medical, or dietary issues, as well as any sensory tools that might be helpful. List out all of the areas or locations that the person might gravitate towards, like stores, parks, houses, pools. Provide likes, dislikes, fears, triggers, de-escalation techniques. If the child is found and is upset, what can first responders do to help calm them? Let first responders know about your child's preferred method of communication. If the child uses sign language or visual exchange, consider providing pictures of the signs or of the visuals themselves. If the child has any form of identification that's consistently on them, like an ID bracelet or tags in their clothes, let first responders know. A child prone to elopement should wear some form of identification on them at all times. Additionally, consider providing a map with nearby water sources and dangerous locations highlighted so that those areas are searched first. And please never hesitate to call 911 if a child or adult elopes. Every minute is key, and first responders are trained to help. As caretakers, what can you do if you are out in the community with a person who elopes? Consider using a Tag Your It system during large gatherings, busy areas, or transitions. One person is on the child at all times. If the supervising adult needs to switch out, they must tag another adult and verbally share that that new adult is now responsible for the child. Make sure that that replacement understands the expectations and responsibilities. And during outdoor activities, consider having one adult on either side of the child in case they attempt to run off into a wooded or unsafe area. Make sure that you monitor any changes to the security of the area, especially in warmer months when children and adults are more prone to elopement. Remain on high alert during holidays, visits to other homes and locations, and unfamiliar areas. Any staff at locations the person frequents, like schools, after-school programs, summer camps, or vocational settings, should be working with you to prevent elopement. Make sure that they have strict elopement policies in place. If you are a parent or guardian, ensure that you are told in writing every time an elopement event occurs. Have elopement goals written into the child's plan. Just as we talked about earlier, ensure that there are appropriate barriers, like fences, to prevent elopement. And if you are a parent watching this, please know that you are not alone. The stress of elopement can be extraordinary and unrelenting, something that you deal with whenever your child is in your care, day or night. Please reach out, call the Autism Project, and talk to a family support specialist who can provide additional assistance and go over all of these steps with you. All of us will work together to prevent and quickly respond to elopement. This is a challenge for many autistic people, and it is the responsibility of all of us to provide support. Thank you to the Department of Justice, to the National Autism Association and Project AWAARE for all of these incredible resources and information. Thank you to first responders, the Autism and Law Enforcement Education Coalition, and the Public Safety Special Needs Coalition of Rhode Island for their extraordinary work at the local and national level. Thank you to families for the unending work that you do to keep your child safe. And thank you to the autistic community for continuing to teach us more about how to best provide support. Please check out the links below for more information, and thank you for taking the time to prevent elopement and to keep people safe. Thank you.